Welcome to Off the Roster, brought to you by our founding partner, ProLine. Betting on ProLine is now easier than ever with their new app. Download it today and make things interesting. And happy Thursday to everyone. What a great day, because the Jays are
above zero.
It's above zero. The Jays are off, so they're on a 1-game win streak after ending the 6-game losing streak.
Yes.
I'm Lindsay. Dan, that is Cabbie. We're happy you're joining us from wherever it may be. If you're joining us on YouTube, on Off the Roster, make sure to like and subscribe and join in on the chat. We're going to talk Leafs, Raptors, some hope in the future when it comes to the Raptors, but let's start off with the Toronto Blue Jays. But also, happy Masters Day. Don't know if you are watching, if you are listening. Dan specifically wore this green because he will not be getting the Masters green blazer.
I mean, it is Thursday at the Masters. It's one of the best days of the year. And shout out to Jose Maria Olazabal for having an early lead at Augusta. It's like we're turning back the clock.
When did he win? Did he win in like 2003 or something? 2002?
He's got two green jackets.
Oh, he's got two.
Yeah. He hasn't played golf in 17 years other than like when he just shows up at the Masters nowadays. But you know what? It's we love a good first round story.
Yeah, we do, definitely.
We love it. We also love when the Jays win.
Oh my
Especially like a much needed win when they won yesterday against the Dodgers. I think Vladdy was one of us when it comes to Jays fans, because when that horn went and they won, hat off, hands to the air, like, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
We won this game. But the worryometer, I think, for a lot of people skyrocketed a couple times during the game, including Dylan Cease throwing back-to-back walks to start off the game. But he ends making a little bit of history for the Jays. He is with 26 strikeouts. It's the most through a pitcher's first 3 games in franchise history.
Yeah.
So, claps. We will do this.
Claps for Dylan.
Friend
Great
of the
stash.
show, yeah.
Great strikeout stuff. And shouts to Louis Varland for taking over with the bases loaded and nobody out, and manages to clean up the mess that Dylan Cease left behind by only giving up 1 run in that moment. It was a huge moment for the Jays and their offense that has been sputtering. But they found it in the 7th inning, and more than anything, like, yeah, I mean, you could start to feel the pressure a little bit. Like, we should not be having our heart rate that high for game 12 of the season, Cab, but we are definitely in that zone when you're in a 6-game losing streak. And finally, they just figured it out, and they felt like the 2025 Blue Jays for those final 3 innings of the ball game, where, you know, they strung some hits together, forced the Dodgers into making plays, and they didn't, and that's how they get the winning run and close it out with their good bullpen. And that was pretty much the recipe for a lot of wins last year, and we just haven't seen it enough so far this year.
Well, a lot of wins last year came with just straight up explosive offense. And this one, you know, you mentioned the 7th inning. So Toronto wins 4-3 against LA. 7th inning, Springer doubles off the top of the wall. So that scores RBI double off the top of the wall. Then Varsho RBI single up the middle. Miles Straw scores. Varsho steals second base. Vladdy walks. And then I guess this part is kind of familiar so far this year, is Kazuma Okamoto does not deliver with the bases loaded. So I think Toronto was 1 for 18 with bases loaded, but they were chipping away. 7th inning, and then the 8th inning is when Gimenez singles through the infield. Just looking at my notes here, Schneider advances to 3rd, and then when Gimenez steals second base, Will Smith tries to throw him out at 2nd. The ball gets away from Miguel Rojas, and then Schneider scores from 3rd. So, like, I guess, excuse me, some of that blue collar lunch pail baseball that did win us some games in 25 with Nathan Lucas, David Schneider, Daulton Varsho, like those types, Ernie Clement, that did come through. But it felt, I guess, as Lindsay mentioned off the top of the show, it was just a relief to win a game 4-3, just a relief to finally snap a 6-game losing streak and end LA's 5-game winning streak. And you're right, the relief pitching was clutch with Tyler Rogers, retiring 5 batters, one inning, 1 hit, 2 strikeouts, Alex Freeland, Andy Pajes, and then Jeff Hoffman, who in my group chat we call Heart Attack Hoffman. He comes in the 9th, 1 inning pitched, 1 hit, strikes out 2, and the 2 being Shohei Ohtani, and then Freddie Freeman with 2 runners on. So high leverage situation, he delivers. So it's just and Vladdy looks to the sky and just like, thank you, as he stands there on first base. So yeah, it was great to get a win, and it was a relief. Some of like a little bit of pressure on the valve is like released a bit, and today is an off day. Minnesota comes to Toronto on Friday, and Patrick Corbin makes his debut for the Blue Jays. So salute to old school baseball. We also, and then I know Dan, and I know I'm getting off track here a little bit, but Dan had that moment in the group chat. I think it was you, Dan.
Yeah,
excuse me, when Vladdy has the base running error in the 6th inning where I can't remember who grounded to short. Vladdy didn't check. He just advances to third and then gets quickly thrown out advancing to third. Just like, oh, man, that's – what'd you call it? Elementary school? No.
Yeah, unserious baseball.
Unserious baseball. Thankfully, that wasn't a critical error because it could have been. But it's just nice to see the Jays get a W against the Dodgers. 1 of 3.
Yeah, Dan Jinxio was in full effect, but thankfully for Blue Jays in their favor because aside from that moment, you also put when like the bases were loaded and all that other stuff. Like
1 for 19 now with the bases loaded, guys. I don't know if anybody's keeping track.
Okay.
Yeah,
1 for 19 with the bases loaded. Thank you to. Okay. Yeah, I was kind of like with my. I was just like, Jesus Sanchez has actually been one of the Jays' better hitters so far this year. It's like, don't take that guy out of the lineup anymore. It's probably pretty good to have him. And, he had just had a really uncompetitive at bat with the bases loaded. And it made me very, very triggered.
And then after that, it went well. So thanks for that. It's all credit to you, Dan Jinxio.
The reverse jinx. Come on. Every sports fan knows, or tries the reverse jinx to try and feel like they can somehow trick the universe into helping their team win a game.
I did that during the World Series with what I wore, how it was sitting, how it was breathing, and obviously it did not work. But yeah, some elite and wonderful base running by Schneider, he had a great game yesterday. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of heat about him actually making the opening day roster, but there was a storyline I was surprised about yesterday at the game. There was obviously a lot of excitement to see Ohtani pitch and do whatever else he would do at the plate. But it was the first time that him and Okamoto from Team Japan actually going against each other in a Major League Baseball game. And someone said to me that they feel that Big Oak has been a disappointment. They're really nervous. Like, he's had a couple of errors, which I believe, including one yesterday in the 4th inning that led to an unearned run. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of shocked by that narrative because we are so early in the season and he's had some great moments. So are you, because you're out of me and Cabbie, you're the one whose worryometer is always off the chain.
So I can understand where the caution flags might be up with Big Oak and Okamoto, but we have to remember, he was always going to have some kind of an adjustment period to Major League Baseball. And when I checked a few days ago, he was over a 40% K rate. It's not so much the fastball, it's the breaking stuff that is kind of getting to him. And that's just normal that a pitcher is getting, or a player is getting into the best league in the world and is having to adjust to some of the things that he is seeing. So should you be out completely on Okamoto? I mean, no, absolutely not, because he has shown some good things as well so far. But yeah, there has been some growing pains early on here, but that's all I would categorize it as, is growing pains to a player making his debut in Major League Baseball.
I'm just going to quickly check. Sorry, Linz. Quickly check Bo Bichette's stats. Who we got here? We have 54 at-bats. We have 12 hits. We have 2 doubles, 6 RBI. We have 14 strikeouts and batting .222. So let's just pump the brakes on Kazuma Okamoto, okay? I'm sure Mets fans, right out the gate, these guys were screaming about acquiring the worst player in baseball, and it's been 12 games, so we can allow some grace. We should extend some grace to a guy who's moved countries. He's playing in a new league, doesn't know anybody here, and playing for a great fan base in a fantastic city. But let's just pump the brakes a little bit.
I also want to pump Dan's brakes, Cabbie, on Nathan Lucas.
Oh, whoa, wait.
happened?
I was saying
What'd he
this somewhat in confidence, but like,
Okay, it's not
I
anymore.
think the Jesus and Davis era has begun for the Blue Jays. So I'm a Jesus and Davis guy, and that needs to be the new platoon for the Blue Jays in the outfields. You've got Jesus Sanchez against the righties, and Davis Schneider needs to play against lefties. And you know what? I want to find ways to get Davis Schneider in the lineup more often. Like he was one of the catalysts yesterday for the Jays. He earns a couple of walks. He seems to have because he is shrunk from where he was in the past and is now just 5'8", thanks to the more accurate bios that MLB has had to come out with the ABS system. His strike zone is smaller, and umps are more likely to struggle with the strike zone on smaller players. This is a historical data kind of thing. Yep. And Davis also has a really good sense of the strike zone, has always been a player that can get on base at a pretty good clip. Jays kind of need that right now. So I think if Davis is seeing the ball well, John Schneider should find a way to get him in the lineup more often. So sorry, Nathan Lucas, but yeah, it's these are the Jesus and Davis times for the Blue Jays.
New segment. It is the Jesus and Davis time. You know whose time it is? Always Ohtani. I know he did not have.
He didn't even look that good
I was like,
yesterday.
how do I even put this? But
like
still
for
good.
Ohtani,
Wait, for Ohtani.
Pitching?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a stat that
Bro was still throwing like 98, dude, or 95.
I mean, the bar for Ohtani is usually up
Ohtani.
here, and he was like still here. So you expect greatness with Ohtani, and he wasn't as sharp as he normally is, but he still had the Blue Jays without an earned run. So.
Yeah, for those listening, Sarah Langs, who's fantastic, who is S. Langs on Sports on X, said Ohtani currently has the longest active on-base streak in MLB with 43 games, the longest active streak of consecutive innings pitched without allowing an earned run in MLB. Like, unbelievable. And that's what we're just saying, in his standards, it wasn't the best game for him yesterday, but it's still pretty great. You're like, sorry, what now?
Yeah. I mean, even in the chat, Jay Steve is like, yeah, he was off yesterday. It's like, well, he was off for Ohtani, and yet he's still freaking incredible. So that's kind of the point.
Six innings pitched, 4 hits, 0 earned runs, 2 strikeouts.
Yeah.
His ERA is 0.
Yeah.
2 strikeouts is, you expect more out of Ohtani. That's kind of the thing. Like for
One
Ohtani,
walk.
Yeah,
in 6 innings.
For Ohtani, that was it wasn't as as elite as he normally is. That's all I'm saying. And he was still great. It's kind of like a compliment in a way. It's just like, man, you were like, I could tell you weren't as sharp as you normally are, and you still have the Blue Jays without an earned run. That's how freaking crazy good you are.
Yeah, earned loss yesterday at the Scotiabank Arena.
Yes.
Do we want to call it that? The Leafs were shut out. Jays in attendance. You actually got to hang out with the Jays and the Leafs yesterday.
I definitely did not.
You were in the same
I was
building.
Just in the press box.
You were in the same building as them. We'll say that you're hanging out with them.
Okay, well,
Scherzer,
sure.
Gosman, Springer, and a number of the other guys were at the game after the Jays game to see Ovi potentially play his last game. Well, would we call the game a belt-to-ass game yesterday? No, it was just a bad game. And here's what Craigie B had to say after about maybe a lack of urgency. I don't know, or intensity. Those are the buzzwords all season long with this team.
I mean, it was like, the game didn't have a lot of intensity in it. We did some good things. We had opportunities. We didn't capitalize on any of them. They got a few odd man rushes that we turned the puck over and that they created and capitalized on a couple goals. That's really the difference in the game. I mean, wasn't a lot of intensity in the game either way.
Yeah, there wasn't. It was not a very intense game. It looked like two teams. The Capitals aren't officially out, but it's going to take a bit of a miracle for them to get into the postseason. So, yeah, two teams kind of playing out the string. I've never seen Tom Wilson play as unphysical a game as he played last night. So Craigie B is correct and honest in his assessment that it wasn't a very intense hockey game. And that's kind of where the Leafs are at, right? You're not expecting a lot through these last few games. They are, just 3 points up from a bottom 5 spot. So there is that still on the horizon for these final few. But the injuries kind of dominated the storyline, and I think Ovi really dominated the storyline. It was interesting. Luke Fox pointed out that Ovi took a couple of pucks at the end of warm-up and handed him over to his trainer with the Capitals, and people are putting 2 and 2 together and being like, is he, trying to... is he taking a couple of pucks because he thinks this might be his last game in Toronto? And maybe that's the case. Obviously, we're reading into it because he said yesterday that he hasn't made that decision yet. But around the rink, the whispers very much are that Alex Ovechkin is playing out his final few games of his National Hockey League career. That's where I guess you would say people seem to think that Ovi is leaning towards retirement right now, even if he hasn't completely made a full decision.
So what was it like watching him in potentially his last game in Toronto?
I absolutely love watching Ovi. Like, the guy is one of one. There is nothing and will never be anything like Alex Ovechkin again in the National Hockey League. And watching him live is even more impressive, especially at his age. The guy barely moves on the ice. If they had like the actual distance tracked, and they don't release this data to us, but I almost guarantee you he is lowest among forwards in the National Hockey League of distance tracked per minute on the ice, because he'll play the full 2 minutes of a power play and he barely leaves the offensive blue line or his little spot, his station, his 3-foot box on the left side by that left circle so he can get off that 1T. And yet he still gets a bunch of chances a game. He's still great, still does the things that allow him to score 30-plus goals. And if not for Joseph Woll making a couple of big stops on him, like Ovi scores last night in what was potentially his last game in Toronto.
I'm just looking it up here. I think the looking up on NHL. If I find it, I'll come back to me. I'm going to try to find the total distance skated, because NHL.com has the edge stats. I think it's this year or last year they've allowed this platform to be free for fans. So I'm just he was not among the top 5 skaters as far as total miles skated. That was Easton Cowan with 3.41. But let me just see if I can dig this up here.
All right, we'll have our statistician for the show, Cabbie, check that out. And while he's doing that, I want you to take us into what it was like in the arena when Stoli went down, because I was watching on TV and it seemed like a frightening moment, especially when he struggled a little bit to get up. Can you kind of take those who maybe did not watch the game or those listening about what led up to that and the reaction after? Because it did seem frightening.
It was a little bit, like very much a hush came down across the arena. Like, it was early in the game, so people aren't even like fully in their seats yet in classic Scotiabank Arena fashion. And Stoli he makes a routine save, and then he's just down on the ice. You're kind of wondering, like, there was a Capitals player in front. Did he give him the little forearm shiver that Sam Bennett gave to him last year in the playoffs? No, it was just a non-contact injury. And those, once you see that, those are the scariest kinds, because they usually don't mean good things. Is it a groin? Is it a knee? The Leafs obviously don't know everything yet. They haven't released any information, but they know that he's not going to be playing tonight against the Islanders, and they are going to call up young Russian netminder Artur Akhtiamov to make the start tonight. Tried to say it as well as I could.
Nailed it.
My mother-in-law is going to roast me for that, though. It's kind of the story with Stolarz, right? Like, he got the contract. He was really good for the Leafs last year. Unfortunate what happened to him in the playoffs, but the guy can't stay on the ice. And it's always been a part of his career and a part of his storyline. And going into next year, like, I still do think the best thing for the Leafs is Stolarz and Woll being their goalie tandem, because when they are together and they can share that workload, it gives the Leafs one of the better tandems talent-wise in the league. But you got to be able to play. And Stolarz, unfortunately, just hasn't been able to stay healthy.
That's just a question that I seen online after, whether it be, with our guest, Zach Phillips, we're going to have in just under 10 minutes. Just, should he be back next season? Is there not a better option? They're calling him a Band-Aid, injury prone, whatever it may be. So,
well, I mean, it's a fact. Yeah. Like, he has trouble staying on the ice. And I know players don't like hearing the term injury prone, but when the reality is what the reality is with Anthony Stolarz, it's kind of hard to get away from that. I'm not sure they're going to have a choice. If hopefully it's not as serious as it looked last night, but he could not put any weight on his leg as he was coming off the ice, and you just hope like it's not a super long-term injury and he can be ready for the start of next year. But any idea of trading an Anthony Stolarz, I mean, if there's a serious injury there, it's kind of out the window. You don't have a choice.
Cabbie, do you have the stat?
No, I wasn't. Sorry, I was not able to find it.
That's okay.
Just was not among the top 5 skaters yesterday. We should also mention that Dakota Joshua left the game. He had a couple of great opportunities in close before leaving the game when his back made hard contact with the backboards. And Stolarz, before he left the game, he had won 3 of his last 4 starts, which is nice. I mean, this year isn't a consequential one for Toronto. Actually, there could be some there have been some consequences, but there are nothing consequential as far as playoffs go because they effectively got eliminated after the returning from the All-Star break.
Yeah,
had some heat going. Sorry, not All-Star, Olympic break. Some heat going into the break. And afterwards, that heat had just been dissipated. So Dakota Joshua, another guy that went out, that left the game with injuries for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
And Brandon Carlo as well. So 3 injuries last night. Leafs are going to call up. So Akhtiamov is going to start in net, his first NHL start tonight. Leafs are pretty excited about this guy. I know Hildeby played well for the team last year, but Akhtiamov is somebody that a lot of people in the goalie world feel like he's got a higher ceiling potential-wise than even a Dennis Hildeby does. So that's exciting. We'll see what he has tonight. Also, William Villeneuve, who is the Marlies' all-time leading scorer defenseman, is going to finally get a call-up. Leafs Twitter is celebrating to see William Villeneuve finally get his chance with the Leafs this year. And Hames is also going to play tonight in place of Dakota Joshua. So a very big Marlies feel to the Leafs against the Islanders and what will be Pete DeBoer's first game behind the bench for the Isles.
And just to put a quick button on it, this is absolutely what the Leafs should be prioritizing right now. It's young players and AHL call-ups and 4 games left. They play New York tonight, the Islanders, who are vying for a playoff spot. Florida Panthers on Saturday, they're eliminated. The April 13th on Monday, Dallas Stars, they're absolutely locked into the playoffs. And then they finish the season against the Senators, who are also vying for a playoff spot. So let the young kids play. Easton Cowan's on the top line, getting almost 20 minutes a game. Still campaigning for Nick Robertson, get more than 12 and a half minutes. Guys, 15 goals in 12 and a half minutes a game. Like, come on. And Matias Michelli's playing top 6 minutes too. So this is the move. At this point. And basically players are auditioning for the next general manager, whoever that may be, and auditioning to either stay with Toronto or telling their agent, get me out of here. This is a sinking ship.
Yeah, there might be a lot of that going on. And the Capitals are an interesting case for the Leafs. You look at the way they've almost prepared themselves for the post-Alex Ovechkin era. And I think that's super interesting, the way that they've had to rebuild on the fly over the last couple of years. They are known to have one of the best pro scouting groups in the entire National Hockey League. You see, yesterday they're able to debut Ilya Protas alongside his brother Alexei Protas, and they are like the Russian Bash Brothers. They are massive humans. Like, I
Didn't
can't
they call
believe
that the 700-pound line with Tom
yes,
Wilson?
the 700-pound line is what they were, and I swear, like, they were massive. There's not a lot of ice out there when those 3 behemoths of humans are out there together. So they've got a lot of intrigue about them. Are they going to be able to replace a superstar like Alex Ovechkin? That's still to be determined. But you look at the 2 Protas brothers, Cole Hudson, Rasmus Sandin. I tweeted out last night, like, Rasmus Sandin would be the best defenseman on the Maple Leafs as of right now. So it's kind of hurts that you traded him away, but he did turn into Easton Cowan. So there's at least that. And of course you got McMichael, and Ryan Leonard is one of my favorite young forwards to watch in the league. Like, the Capitals have a lot brewing, but they did keep their first round pick. So that helps when you're rebuilding on the fly like the Maple Leafs plan to do in the future.
I would like to talk about, how you said it was Jesus and Davis time How about McJesus' time yesterday with the Oilers, netting a beautiful hat trick, and just that game, if you're a Sharks fan, you did not like it. Also, if you hate the Oilers, you really hated that game, but what a performance.
It was, man, Connor McDavid is just taking his game to another level. Cab, it's just like 5 points. He had 3 goals. He's scoring highlight reel goals on the nightly now, and I mean, he's kind of making a stake to the claim of the Hart Trophy. It's kind of been a 3-horse race with McKinnon, McDavid, and of course Kucherov. But with Draisaitl out, more of the load has been on McDavid's shoulders, and he is leading the Oilers to kind of their best stretch of hockey that they've had all season. He's putting the team on his back and maybe winning himself yet another Hart Trophy.
So they won 5-2, I believe, in San Jose. It was the game before against Utah. The mother bleeper, like almost 200 feet of ice. He's just Da Vinci. Like he's just painting.
Makes everybody else look like they're in slow-mo.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, it's just like he's being shot out of a cannon, and he can just carve up, the best players in the world as though it's like he's playing on a rink with a bunch of tykes or 13-year-olds. The guy's just incredible. A hat trick last night, and he's got 10 more points than Nathan McKinnon, who by consensus has been leading the Hart Trophy conversation for 70 of the 82 games or 68 of the 82 games. Colorado was so far ahead of every other team in the National Hockey League that it was just, if you're filling out a ballot in December, January, February, Nathan McKinnon is winning the Hart Trophy. But now there is, Nikita Kucherov is your guy, has been making a fantastic claim to be a part of that conversation and to get his name on some ballots at the top slot. And McJesus is out here, pulling his team back into the playoffs in a weak Pacific Division, mind you, but his play is electric and he's at the height of his powers in his prime. And it's just hard to stop that guy when he's playing like this.
Renewed hope for the Oilers in their
also, by the way,
third Stanley Cup final.
Macklin Celebrini has 42 goals? What is it,
Got
41
over
or 42?
Points, man.
He scored in that game, I think, right?
Yeah. One of the greatest 19-year-old seasons the NHL has ever seen. And last night, McDavid put basically a nail in the coffin to his chance at the Hart Trophy because, the guy had a real argument if he dragged San Jose to the playoffs.
Yeah, he's got, 50 more points than Will Smith? Something like that. Like 50 or 60 more points than the second highest scorer on the San Jose Sharks. I'm sorry, Lindsay. I get excited.
No, don't be. We're all excited about this, and I'm excited to welcome our guest who's having a great season as the host of TLN After Dark and producer of The Sheet, of course. It is the legend, Zach Phillips. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Morning, everybody. Thank you guys for having me here.
We know you had a late night chatting with the fans online who were always quite lively when they're watching your after show. So I just want to know, I want to play video of you and let me know if you did this at all before you talked to the fans last night.
Okay. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel.
The face.
Here's the smelling salts for hitting the 50.
What?
Oh. Oh.
Wow.
Oh my.
The things we'll do for viewers, Zach? Unbelievable.
When you see that, do you feel the pain immediately? Oh, no way.
No
No.
Yes.
We're getting a live smelling salts. Oh, man. He's a hardened veteran now. Look at this guy.
Yeah, those ones are a little bit more dead, but
I have watched that video so many times. It's just legendary performance by you. And then I was telling Dan and our producer Nick before show, I'm like, I want to try that after watching that. That looked like a terrible time.
I don't recommend.
No, they're not. The best way that I could describe it is like jumping into a freshly chlorinated pool and not preparing yourself and having all the water shoot up into your brain at the same time. That's the most accurate description that I could put on what I experienced in that video there. So no, you don't want to try it, but I live close enough to the studio. I can bring the smelling salts by for you guys. You can try them.
What a jam. What a jam. We absolutely are going to have me try these. But I want to talk about the chat. It's always lively on TLN After Dark. What was the conversation like over the last couple of days surrounding the Leafs?
Dark. Last night centered around what to do with Anthony Stolarz, to be completely honest with you. That was the biggest piece of the conversation. A lot of it is really right now what happens with Craig Berube. A lot of people still don't feel very convinced that he's gone. I think he is, but a lot of people are not buying into that, which is kind of interesting. And then it's really a lot of back and forth. You know, we heard the comments from Keith Pelly about data-centric and wanting to go down that path. And then you also have the portion of the fan base who I think is probably a little bit scarred from what happened with Kyle Dubas here. And don't get me wrong, it was great regular seasons, and I think what we're seeing him do in Pittsburgh is great, but he's had opportunities to learn from his mistakes. There were trades that were made here, you know, Mason Marchment for Dennis Malgin, or I'll never forget Nazem Kadri for Tyson Barrie and Alex Kerfoot, that I think we look at a guy like that and think, well, that set us back for years when those things happen, and people are scared of that stuff happening. So it's kind of a lot of uncertainty here with people calling into the show. Like, I took calls for 3 hours last night. And by the end of it, we were pitching different ways for people to, for MLSE, I should say, to liven up the arena. That was the point that we were at. We were coming up with ideas on how to make Scotiabank more exciting to go to.
One, you're a real gem, not only for starting the segment, trying some dulled smelling salts, but after 3 hours of taking calls, coming onto our show early in the morning, we do appreciate it. But what were some of the standout ideas they had of making it more lively? Because Dan was saying there was "Let's Go Blue Jays" chants at the end of the game yesterday there. I'm like, that's not a good sign.
Well, the one that I pitched that we kind of went back and forth on, and I'm curious what you guys think about this. So I'm not the biggest soccer fan myself. I think one of the problems is more so just I can't stand the embellishment, but the game itself, I can get it. I appreciate soccer for what it is. But the environment at soccer games is unbelievable. Like, when you go to a TFC game or you go to European soccer games, it is amazing. And the supporters sections and everything they have around the arena are just second to none. And, you know, I got to see it firsthand watching one of my buddies plays in the Swedish league, the SHL. And he was playing in a playoff series recently. And I was watching, and it's like, it's everybody on their feet, chanting, jumping up and down, waving towels, flags, cheers. You know, they've got smoke blowing off in the arena during the games. I'm like, how do we get that? So my idea was you block off one section in the lower bowl, and it's $50 tickets. You know, we see it at the Jays games where it's that bleacher section where I think it's max $20 for the tickets, but it's first come, first serve. It would be, in a way, that where you can jump in to a queue. If you get the tickets, you get the tickets. But then if you don't want them, the max resale value on them is what you bought them for. So you can't upcharge on those tickets. And I think you got to put a geolocation on it. So you put Leafs fans or people from Toronto only. And we pack that lower bowl section, just one section, just full of real Leafs fans. And I know that this is a pipe dream, but I'm like, we've got nothing else to be talking about or cheering for at this point. So this is the idea. That is what I've come to. We need a fan section in the lower bowl.
That's a freaking great idea.
Yeah.
And when they pay you or maybe recruit you to help be a part of reviving that arena, I love that, because it's something like Clippers have that like fan section. You're seeing it at different arenas and different ballparks and football stadiums that I think that would add a lot. And then be cheering, let them have some instruments that hopefully they will not throw after having a couple too many $75 beers. I love that.
People at Scotiabank Arena more likely to throw their dynamite roll on the ice than
Yeah, that's the
or their phones. I mean, what you're basically clamoring for is Serbia basketball energy at Scotiabank. Flares,
Exactly.
dancing, like it was. I don't know about flares, but we definitely, even if it was like 10% of that energy, that would absolutely change the environment of Scotiabank. I think you're onto something, Zach. Flares might be a little too far, though.
But you have to sell them up so that when they say, hey, no, we can't do that, you're like, oh, okay, well, we'll come back down a little bit. So I'm gonna come in over the top. I want flares, smoke, everything. I want going nuts on my sales pitch so that they have to tone it down a little bit. Otherwise, MLSE, they might come in there and they're going to start charging $1,000 per flare based on what we've seen some of the patterns of them doing here right now. But
Good point.
I gotta push.
We could have like a special night. I don't know if you saw what happened in the Rockies game yesterday, who, by the way, I think have the longest winning streak right now in MLB.
Yes, they do. Facts only.
Like hundreds of shirtless guys just using their shirts as towels in their section. That could also be something. Well, I'm pretty sure. Maybe
I don't know if the Bay Street
beer,
Bros are doing that.
They could if the beers were maybe $5. If we put the beer also to $5 in that section, I feel like that also could bring it up. But
Well, it might help. It might.
Anything's going to help.
We'll take anything because it's we want to see the Scotiabank Arena lower bowl have a pulse at some point because it doesn't often. And you know what? To be fair, they haven't had a lot to cheer for this year. I mean, yesterday the best chance of the game fell to Phillips Myers and he hit the crossbar. If that's the best chance you're creating offensively, that's a problem as a hockey team. So, whoever does come in and take over this job, and I know, we still don't know president, GM, what exactly are they looking for? We've had a couple of names, Mike Gillis, Sonny Maeda. It just, this is a big job. And I don't know, of course, Austin Matthews is kind of the biggest priority and what his future looks like, Zach. But beyond that, what is the thing that helps this roster change course next year? Is it reworking the defense? Is it finding a second line center? What is that next piece? If they get Austin Matthews' situation figured out and he wants to be a Leaf for a long time, what's the next thing they've got to work on with this roster?
I think defensively is the big thing for me right now. Don't get me wrong. There are problems up front and there are holes that need to be filled there. It needs to get younger, faster, fresher up front, but it's the D for me primarily. I look at last night. You brought up the chance from Phil Myers. Great. Unfortunately, I don't want Phil Myers playing in my lineup at all, let alone on an emergency basis. And right now, he's playing far too many minutes a night. And I understand some of it is because of injuries and some of it is because the coach has an affinity for the guy. But Phil Myers is not an NHL defenseman. And yet, they went into this season thinking, hey, Simone Benoit and Phil Myers as your 6'7", we'll be okay. And then all of a sudden somebody goes out. It's like, well, now they're 5'6", actually. So what now? That's not a good place to put yourself in. Morgan Rielly has very clearly taken, I don't know if a step back in his game. It might just be gradually regressing just due to the fact that he's aging. And he was never that amazing to begin with. That's not a shot at Morgan Rielly. It's more so just he was never a number one. We always hoped he would become a number one, but as he got older here, it just didn't age quite that well. It never got any better. And then, you look at Chris Tanev, injury prone, older, and then all of a sudden it hits him this season. Jake McCabe, an older guy, suffered some injuries. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, he was arguably your number one defenseman all season long. He's an old defenseman. He's 34, 35 years old. You cannot be deploying a decor of guys who are that much older, slower, getting to a point here where they're just suffering from injuries on the regular and then expect it to work out night in, night out through the course of an 82-game season. That was archaic thinking from Brad Treliving to go into this condensed schedule season with an Olympic break in there, knowing what was going to have to happen for these guys to get through it and be like, nah, they'll get through and they'll be healthy all year. We can rely on them. In what worlds? What world does that ever work? How can you ever look at that and look at these guys and just expect health? And even more so, they all played pretty well last year. How could you just say, yeah, they'll be the same again next year? That to me was a major oversight. Yes, there are problems up front. I get that. And I'm not trying to diminish those. But defensively, this thing has to change. And Dan, you talked about the offense that was lacking. That's even just another thing. How much of this looks a little bit different, marginally different, if the first pass from your defense to your forwards to break out of the zone and get up ice in transition isn't a grenade that's either off the glass or onto the opposing team's stick 90% of the time? Like, if you can transition up the ice and have better puck-moving defensemen, you're probably even in just a little bit better of a spot right now. To me, the D-core as a whole needs to change.
Yeah, I look at Washington as a good contrast. It's like you got Chychrun back there, Rasmus Sandin, Cole Hudson, and those three guys would easily be the best puck-moving defensemen on the Leafs, right? And obviously Chychrun, but the Capitals paid for Chychrun basically less than what the Leafs paid for Brandon Carlo. So imagine they make that trade for Chychrun instead of Carlo. I mean, I'm really doing a what if scenario here, but you kind of get where I'm going. Like it's more of this is Brad Treliving's creation, and it's clearly a reason why he's no longer in the job. Now, you mentioned Stolarz and Joseph Woll and what's going to happen with Stolarz. I've kind of thought, and given the injury history, like Stolarz, I'm not sure anybody's really going to take that contract off your hands, no matter what the diagnosis is on this latest injury for him. And ultimately, like I'm not sure I feel comfortable going into next season with like Dennis Hildeby as your backup for Joe Woll. So to me, the best tandem talent-wise for the Leafs is still Stolarz and Joseph Woll. If you're trying to recalibrate and get back to playoff contention next year, I think that goalie tandem gives you the best chance. And given the Stolarz injury situation, you might just have to give up on the idea of maybe flipping him for an asset to help you elsewhere.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that the returns that you could get on him, I do think you could find a suitor for him. And specifically, I look at the Western Conference and the goaltending that you're seeing out there. Like I was watching the San Jose Edmonton game last night while I was doing the show, and it's like they were having a I don't want to make a save off between the Sharks and the Oilers last night in net. And like these are teams that you could look at and possibly say, hey, maybe they would be interested in a goaltender. But I think that you're right. What do you get back for the guy? He's about to start a 4-year contract that hasn't kicked in. Has not kicked in. It's about to start in this summer. He's going to go into this deal. He's coming off of what's presumably another injury here, a long-term injury, I should say, where just based on what we saw out of the guy, I don't want to speculate too much, but a non-contact injury where a guy is squirming on the ice, I'm not a doctor, guys,
usually not a good diagnosis.
Usually pretty bad, yeah. And lower body for a guy who's dealt with lower body injuries all season long, and most of his career, to be honest with you, that's not a good sign. So what is that value that you get back? The only problem that I kind of start to encounter here in considering the goalie conversation is that on one hand, I agree with Dan in the assessment that this is probably the best goalie tandem that you could put forth in terms of being successful and the most reliable. Do you want to go in with Joe Woll and Dennis Hildeby? It's not the most comforting compared to a Stolarz-Woll combination. That's completely fair. But then there's the other side of this that involves the coming goaltenders that you have in your organization, Hildeby and Akhtiamov. You're about to run into a problem here where Dennis Hildeby is not able to just go through and be sent back to the Marlies without clearing waivers. You have two goaltenders who are injury prone. You're probably at some point here going to need to be bringing up Dennis Hildeby and having him fill in for one of those goalies at some point. I'm not trying to wish injury upon either of them, obviously, but it's the nature of the game. And you understand that these guys have trouble staying healthy, and a guy like Dennis Hildeby probably is going to have to fill in. So what does that mean? Do you want to just carry 3 goalies? It's something you're allowed to do, but do you want to? Because is Hildeby now playing? Are you going to stunt his development? Are you putting too much pressure on Akhtiamov in the Marlies? Like, it just becomes a weird situation here now where you expect you're probably going to have to use one of those guys. You think that the two that you have of Woll and Stolarz are probably the best combo, and yet at the same time now all of a sudden you can't get as much return for a guy like Anthony Stolarz. You've kind of put yourself behind the 8 ball. The final thing for me here on that whole point too is if you really wanted to trade one of the goaltenders, why the hell did you not do it at the trade deadline? You know, it's not like it's the most common for a goaltender to go to another team at that point and fit in and win Stanley Cups. I don't think there's a great history of it, but you're telling me that the Edmonton Oilers wouldn't have got desperate at the trade deadline knowing what Connor's deal is looking like and what he's just done for you to at least bring him in a tandem goaltender? You don't think that they would have called and seen what they could have done? You don't think Utah would have taken a shot on a guy and said, okay, yeah, we could use another goalie here and we'll go out and do it now? Because now you've pushed it down the road a little bit more where that contract is about to kick in and you've witnessed him suffer another injury. It's gotten to a bad spot here of asset management, and it's very, very frustrating, to be honest with you.
Zach, well done. You were cooking, bro, for like 3 minutes. We appreciate that.
Awesome.
And also, good morning. Shout out to Dwayne Rollison, the goalie who was traded at the trade deadline and helps Edmonton go on a magical playoff run in 2006. Speaking of goalies, Rogers has this campaign where it gives fans a taste of Blue Jays ownership for a day. If Ilya Sorokin, so not tonight's game against the Islanders, if Ilya Sorokin, who leads the NHL with 7 shutouts in the season, if he records his 8th shutout against the Toronto Maple Leafs, how much of an ownership slice should he claim of MLSE?
God. Well, I think they're going to charge him an arm and a leg for it based on what these guys have been doing here. $1,000 for dinner in the dressing room isn't necessarily the greatest sign for Sorokin's wish to get a piece of MLSE. But, I mean, honestly, Cabbie, if they get shut out tonight, well, I hope for that. Let me be clear. I hope for that because I want just a clean break. Like, let's get through this season, lose every single game, and give ourselves the best shot at a top 5 overall pick. But this would just be the ultimate descriptor of the Craig Berube era. We went through, and I don't remember the number off the top of my head. I apologize. I should have known this because I was talking about something to do with it last night. But we went through years without being shut out in a game. Craig Berube's first game as the Toronto Maple Leafs head coach, shut out. Now here we are where it feels like it's a fairly regular occurrence where this team just can't score goals in the regular season, which would never seem to be a problem before. So, and you know what, Cabbie, honestly, I hope Sorokin shuts them out tonight, and I hope he gets that opportunity.
Logan Thompson has 2. I mean, last night they were shut out 4-0. I think he's got the only 2 against Toronto this year, but yeah, a 3rd shutout against, a team vying for a playoff spot. And with, I think, the Vezina winning goaltender, Andre Vasilevsky's got something to say about that, but Sorokin's been phenomenal this season. Last question for you from me is, since the Maple Leafs were eliminated from playoff contention shortly after the Olympic break, what's been your favorite, at least we have the Blue Jays coping mechanism? Is it going to Blue Jays games? Is it watching Blue Jays games? Is it loading up your fantasy team with Blue Jays or sprinkling every once in a while on a few player props? How have you been coping so far, sir?
So I just moved in the downtown area, and I am now like, I can throw a stone and hit the Rogers Center from where I'm at now. So going to Blue Jays games is the greatest relief of all time. My girlfriend is really into baseball. She's all over that, wants to go to every game, wants to watch every game. I think we might end up going tomorrow night here possibly at this point. So it's a very welcome distraction from what's happening from the Maple Leafs. And between that and every now and then, which unfortunately I can't do right now because he's injured, but my favorite guy to bet on is Alejandro Kirk. Kirk home runs, Kirk extra bases, because when he gets cooking and he's coming around first and he's got the little arms going like that, and you've got some money on the line, you've got over 1.5 bases, it just gets a little juice flowing. So that's very welcome distraction here right now.
I'm with you on the HRR plays. Hits plus runs plus RBI, Alejandro Kirk. It's usually like over 1.5. Anyway, I'm sorry to devolve into some DGen talk here, but I'm right there with you. He was a fun guy to bet on last year.
I was just going to say, Zach, I know you though. You're a sicko. You're absolutely living and dying with these Leafs losses right now, and you get super upset when they win and hurt their chances at a better draft lottery pick.
Yeah, that's a pretty fair assessment. So I am the guy who gets way too high on the highs and way too low on the lows, especially on the post-game show. Like, I sit and watch the game, and it ends, and I sit in my chair and do the show. So whatever I'm feeling, it just comes out on camera. And for the last 4 years that I've been doing a post-game show, it has been like uber frustration at losses and uber excitement at wins. And it has completely flipped, which I never thought I would see. I'm doing post-game shows after they've tied a game against the LA Kings to go to overtime and get a point. And I'm coming on after being like, what the are we doing? Like, what is this team? What a mistake. What a joke. Like, it's completely flipped on its head. But yes, I am here every single day, no matter what, with this team, unfortunately.
Last question for you is actually from our producer, Nick, Zach, and he means this question with all respect. Would you classify your hairstyle as a mullet?
I don't know. I think so. Like, it does. I do have
the salad bag, the party in the back is kind of,
yeah,
business in the front, party in the back. I see it.
Yeah, and so basically what happened was all my life I had long hair. I had the long hockey hair, and then I rocked that, and then I got to university. I got a job landscaping in the summer, and I was like, I can't do this with long hair anymore, so I had shaved it all off. And then finally, when I started my own post-game show channel, I was growing my hair out for some unknown reason again. And somebody in the chat was like, we want to, make you do something if you hit a certain number of subscribers. And I was like, okay, if we hit 1,000 subscribers. At this point, I had 500 subscribers 4 weeks away from the playoffs. I said, if I get 1,000 subscribers, I will do a mullet. Well, that's what I'll do. And they're like, okay, sounds good. Within 2.5 weeks, we hit 1,000 subscribers on the channel.
Nice.
And I was like,
nice.
That's awesome. But now what the hell? I have to get a mullet. So I got the mullet, and it worked out. It actually ended up looking pretty decent. So I've had it now for 4 years. But I had longer in the back before, and then eventually my girlfriend, who I'm now dating and living with, said, that's enough of that. You can keep the same hairstyle, but you cannot have the full Billy Ray Cyrus situation going on. It needs to be like a more modernized, cleaned up version.
What an amazing high note to leave on, Zach. We appreciate you joining us today. I think you're hopping by the studio later, so after that, we hope you have a nice long nap this afternoon. Thanks for joining us today and your lovely mullet.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate
Peace,
it.
man.
An absolute gem of a human. Yeah, I love watching the After Dark program because he does let all the emotions out there, and it's like so many of us, like, you relate to him, but some of the fans, what they're saying, or the viewers, like,
man.
Ooh,
Honestly, like,
spicy.
there are times where,
So
like, nothing beats a good post-game call after a tough loss, after your bullpen blows its third save in a row or something like that. It's just like the fire that spews, man. There were times, like, growing up and getting into the business, like, where I would just listen to WGR 550 in Buffalo because they just had the most fire post-game shows after Bills games, man. It is there is nothing quite like the passion a true fan can have, and that's why I appreciate it.
Passion. Heat. We're hoping not to see any heat tonight against the Raptors, especially if you're a Raptors fan, as they continue that awesome playoff push, making the Heat back in the.
Lame.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
It was lame,
Like,
but the playoffs, when it comes to Bam, who for weeks has been saying months, I don't want to go in the play-in. I don't want to go in the play-in. Like, there's a lot of turmoil and non-happiness.
Yes.
There's not a lot of camaraderie happening within that Heat locker room, which we discussed yesterday because they had that player meeting after they lost to the Raptors. So yesterday we had a couple of the Raptors speak to the media going into tonight's game, where they're, again, like I mentioned, hoping to win. And IQ was asked about his foot injury, which we know he missed a number of games because of it, and here's what he had to say. A very long answer, so sit back, relax, and get ready to listen to IQ talking about his injury.
I know you told me that like pivoting, planting is where you were really feeling the foot. How did it feel in game? Did you were you able to forget about it, and what did it feel like after?
I'm gonna not talk about my foot today.
Okay.
I'm not talking about my foot today.
That was not me, by the way, but yeah, no questions about his injury, how he's recovering, or how he felt playing in Tuesday's game. Like, okay.
Yeah. I don't think he wanted to answer the question. It's
no, I don't think he felt
That's
great.
fairly
I don't think
obvious
he's
he
feeling
didn't want to
good.
answer the
Yeah,
question.
he's not
He
feeling
played
good.
18 minutes and
Yeah.
probably just in so much pain, like every stride. And he's like looking around to see who can see him. And if nobody's in the hallway, then he's like limping. But like if someone comes around, he's got to like, straighten up the posture to seem like it's not hurting him that much. But I'm sure it's just so painful. It just killer throbs all night. You can't even sleep comfortably. It's got to be. But these guys are toughing through it. So salute.
Yeah, hoping for another good one. There's a lot of uncertainty surrounding this team and what's going to happen next week with the playoffs, who they could be taking on. I know they're playing the Knicks tomorrow in New York, which I'm not feeling confident about IQ and them taking on his former team. But there's a number of players on the Raptors who have not had a playoff experience, or it's been several years since they had the taste of the postseason. And here is what Sandro Malikashvili had to say about the Raptors and what's their next step.
It feels good. I think everybody, since the day we went to Madrid, had the same goal to make the playoffs, to take the step forward, get better as a team. And I think we've been doing that, and we've been keeping each other accountable, playing hard. Even though sometimes we have ups and downs, we stay together. We try to figure out it together. Coach is doing a great job coaching us, helping us go over that little humps we have. And it's amazing to be where we're at, because I don't think anybody saw us being here.
So
that's Sandro. Nobody did see the Raptors being here at this point of the season. You came in and you knew Scotty Barnes weren't necessarily understanding what BI was going to bring, because he's just had such trouble staying on the court. He could have some good flashes, but could he be a dynamic duo with Scotty? And ultimately, that's what this season has provided the Raptors with a duo that they can rely on a lot of nights to beat up on teams that are lower in the standings or in a different phase of their build as a team. And the Raptors have done that really well. The other night against Miami, that was about as signature a performance as we've seen from the Raptors this season. And they've got to do it again tonight. Like, locking down this playoff spot now, Cab, with 3 games remaining on the season. This is their Super Bowl for right now. Like, get into this playoff spot. Make sure you get this playoff spot, and then worry about your next opponent and next hurdle later.
I'm just looking at the Raptors win totals the past couple of years. 25 wins in 24, 30 wins in 25, 44 wins this season. So absolutely making progress and returning back to the, not quite the Collin DeMar era, but, turning back to, I guess it was Freddie and Pascal era. And I don't know who the Fred VanVleet comp would be. I guess maybe Emmanuel Quickly, or maybe Jamal Shed by the way he plays and his toughness. And Scotty Barnes is an all NBA caliber player. So I guess maybe they're on schedule or ahead of schedule. I guess on schedule because of the move that the front office made to acquire Brandon Ingram last year. And hey, we have a legit scorer in clutch time, just ISO ball on that elbow that he loves. But it'll be, I can't remember the last time Brandon Ingram was in the playoffs. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. Jakob Poeltl, I don't know if I can't remember off the top if San Antonio, when he was playing with DeMar DeRozan, if they went to the playoffs, but it'll be a great experience. I mean, we have a young core. We got, RJ's been in the playoffs a few times. So I'm excited to see Toronto, who's won 6 of its last 7 at home, play in Miami again, dominated them in the paint. I'm sure that will be corrected by Eric Spoelstra and his staff. And they shot terribly from downtown in that game. Miami did. But I'm excited for tonight. And if we can continue this energy, obviously New York will be a big test because Toronto hasn't won in New York, I think, since Fred VanVleet and Pascal were teammates. It's been several years. So that'll be a big test for confidence and for performance, I suppose, tomorrow night at MSG. So I look forward to tonight's game for sure.
I am absolutely looking forward to this game tonight, and hopefully the Heat not showing up, maybe Dan making fun of me again on tomorrow's show. I absolutely...
Will the Raptors cool off the Heat tonight?
Ooh.
See what I did there?
I see what you did there. Yeah, and then, boo. I was
pretty good.
you.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's what my husband will always say to like humor me when I'm telling him an exciting story and he doesn't care. He's like, that's crazy. Yeah. I just want to go back to what Matt Mikelashvili was talking about a little bit yesterday, which is kind of talking about what Cabbie was saying about this young team and the playoff experience. And you can watch their full availabilities on YouTube underneath Off the Roster. He was saying in one way, it's actually great that we don't have a lot of experience because you have that energy and the unknown instead of, some of those people that have had playoff experience in the past where, they've hit that wall or something hasn't went well. And so they kind of are waiting for that moment or they're thinking about it. Well, most of them don't have any of that experience. So they're just going in so excited, not knowing what to expect, except for, he said, being prepared for more details. Every little play, everything they're going to be studying so much more. And so he's like, that is an exciting element of this all, is just how much that there's the excitement of the unknown. So you're not going to have the weight of what happened in the playoffs before, that they're going in with a bit of a clean slate. So I know we're talking about playoffs before we even know who they're going to take on, but it's great that they're going to be in the postseason.
It is great. And the thing with the Raptors and when it comes to NBA playoffs, coaching starts to really become a big factor because obviously talent is what decides more than anything, but when two teams are closely matched in a playoff series and you start picking apart every team's or your opponent's weakness and finding things that you can execute more often, like it really gets to the X's and O's of basketball. And that to me is where the intrigue starts to light up, where you don't always get that on a night-to-night basis during the NBA regular season, as we've talked about. But once the playoffs start, you get a little bit more of the game within the game, which is something that these Raptors are going to be going through, a lot of them, for the first time.
First time. And not discussing this with the group, but I am just looking at the chat where we bring good vibes to the show, and you guys can all calm down right now with whatever your conversation is and go take that somewhere else in a schoolyard conversation that is happening right now. But when we talk about good vibes, I can't wait to discuss the next big thing brought to you by Coke. So the FIFA World Cup 26 is coming this summer, which is amazing. But you know what else I'm excited about? The Panini player stickers that Coke is dropping on April 13th.
You can collect world-class players like Lamine Yamal, Harry Kane, Edson Alvarez, and Anthony Robinson for the official licensed sticker album of the FIFA World Cup 26.
Just buy a 500 milliliter Coke, peel the label, and collect all 12 special stickers.
Ooh, I'm excited. I'm trying not to peel these in front of me right now because it's not technically out yet, so we're not allowed to actually peel the labels. But we're going to stick with the Raptors when it comes to the next big thing brought to you by Coca-Cola. CMB. This is somebody, that we've been talking about all season long. Unfortunately, he had some injuries. He's still dealing with injuries, but still battling it out there on the court. He is the next big thing.
He is for the Raptors, right? Yeah. Like they need these younger players to really start to take a bigger role. And yes, he is a rookie, but he's really come on in the second half of the season. And you really felt his absence when he was out with that thumb injury. And now that they've got him back, you see the physicality he brings in the paint. That was a big part of their win on Tuesday. How good of a defender he is. He can defend multiple positions on the court, and this is what the Raptors have made their bread and butter on through the years, is finding versatile players that can play different positions on the court. We've seen him play the 3, we've seen him play the 4, we've seen him play the 5 at times when Pirtle was out this year, and I don't think you could have asked for a better rookie season for Collin Murray-Boyles, and that just means that the future is pretty bright for this young Raptor.
I agree with you, Dan. Collin Murray-Boyles' Toronto experience could have been derailed by that viral moment where he dropped an F-bomb on camera after being selected 9th in the first round at the NBA draft by the Toronto Raptors. But what has defined the young fella in his rookie season is his quick adjustment to the NBA, playing winning basketball, making a bunch of starts, contributing to back-to-back wins against Atlanta, and then an overtime win against Philadelphia. 17 points, 15 rebounds in early January, and establishing himself as a trusted part of Darko Rajakovic's rotation, despite being the youngest player on the court. The young fella turns 21 in June. What up, twin? If not for a thumb injury against the Spurs in February, Colin Murray-Boyles, with his tenacious on-ball defense, penches for double-doubles, would be in the all-rookie first-team squad, along with Con Knipple, Cooper Flagg, VJ Edgecombe, and Dylan Harper. But the future is very bright for Colin Murray-Boyles, and that's why he is the next big thing.
I want to make sure we point out yet again Steve Ashburner of NBA.com.
He's just looking this up.
The NBA ladder, yes.
The rookie ladder. Now, Colin Murray-Boyles eventually made it on to the rookie ladder at some point this year. But Steve Ashburner, I think in his latest, let out what he thinks will be the NBA all-rookie team and the all-rookie second team. And all Colin Murray-Boyles could get in this article was an honorable mention.
Just look this up. He's not, all rookie first team, all rookie second team, honorable mention, which even with his injury, he still has a couple better stats than the guys on there. We're not saying he's like a Con Knipple or Cooper Flagg, but he definitely should have been in the top 10, but
definitely should have been on that second team at the very least. I mean, the guy has been unbelievable.
Yeah.
I know his like offensive numbers don't jump off the page, but this guy helped the Raptors immensely through the middle part of the season, especially when Pearl was out.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping both of you will immensely help my bank account because it is time for your ProLine pick of the day. Dan?
I like it.
Okay, we'll take that one.
That one works.
The new ProLine app is here. Betting online with ProLine Plus and betting in store with ProLine are both easier than ever with their new app. Has more sports, more leagues, and more markets than ever. Enjoy more props and same-game parlays all baseball season long on the new ProLine app.
Well, tonight we are looking at the Maple Leafs and the New York Islanders. Islanders are going to have the new coach bump with Pete DeBoer coaching his first game behind the bench for the Islanders, and we are going with Bo Horvat to score an anytime goal. Leafs will also have a rookie netminder between the pipes in Artur Akhtiamov making his first NHL start for the Buds. Might be a tough one for him, tough spot for him, and Bo Horvat going to light the lamp tonight.
I like it. These picks are for entertainment purposes only. I might even sprinkle on Matthew Barzal, who's sitting on 19 goals. Cole Caulfield is sitting on 49 goals this season and could become the first Montreal Canadian to score 50 in a season since Stéphane Richer did it in 1990. In his last 10 games, Caulfield has registered 9 goals with 8 assists. And we know that he is Mr. Saturday Night, and Montreal plays Columbus on Saturday. Tonight, he is facing a Hart Trophy candidate and previous winner in Nikita Kucherov and the betting favorite to win the Vezina Trophy in Andrei Vasilevsky at home versus Tampa Bay. Both teams have 102 points in the Atlantic Division. Young fella, this is your stage. An anytime goal from Cole Caulfield for the Montreal Canadiens is my ProLine pick of the night.
I love it, even though it's Montreal Canadiens related. I still think such a great season and great storyline for him. A non-great storyline that happened on, I think it was the clay court. My favorite public freakout of the year so far. In sports. If you have not seen this, please watch at this poor racket.
This is oh my God. That was a pretty hard smash.
Fury threw it twice before this. Again.
I've been there. This is a level of fury and intensity that. Yeah. Like he the crowd.
Yeah. and then very nicely
just nicely deposited.
Thank you for your service.
Did he lose that game? So that was the Daniil Medvedev.
6-0. Yeah, 6.
Oh, okay.
6 love. My guy was having a day, man.
Yeah.
My guy was having a day.
I'm sorry I'm laughing because obviously he's having a really tough moment, but that racket just got belt to ass. I think it was 7 times someone counted, but it was just the crowd, how they were so into every moment. Whoa. Have you ever broke a racket?
No. Not much of a tennis guy myself.
Cabbie?
Yes, playing squash. I have explosive temper like that. So yeah, I've been there. And as a father of 2 kids, I get there probably once a week.
Okay, well.
So like leave the house and just go for a walk. It's the best therapy.
You're the best. Oh, I can't wait to see you smash a racket,
Yeah.
though. We're going to have to, I don't even know what we could do. What
I mean, there are times when I've wanted to like throw my putter into the woods, but
yeah.
you know, then I remember like, oh, a new putter's going to cost me a few $100. So I'm like, maybe this will just go back in the bag, and I'll throw something.
Maybe on May 5th. When is the RBC media game? May 5th
May
or
4th.
6th? The 4th. May the 4th be with you, Dan, to throw your
Yes.
putter into the woods.
On that note, thank you for
terrible
joining. No, I loved it. Thanks for joining us for today's episode of Off the Roster. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Hope you enjoyed this video. If you want more Off the Roster content, make sure to like and hype this video and subscribe to the Nation Network YouTube channel.